My next guest is a television host, a stand-up comedian, an author, Emmy-winning documentarian, but Mass native Wes Hazard says out of everything, the hardest he ever worked was for his recent stint on Jeopardy.
This is Jeopardy! Let's meet today's contestants. A stand-up comic and storyteller from Stoughton, Massachusetts, Wes Hazard.
Stoughton? The announcer should have lost points on that one. When Wes is not becoming a champion on Jeopardy 3 times in a row, if you're counting, he's at WGBH hosting the storytelling series Stories from the Stage.
It was nightfall, we didn't have a map, and we had lost sense of where the camp was.
My brother pulled the car over to the side of the highway, and he started yelling at me, well, why don't you drive and I'll hold on to the ram?
Is there anything more exciting than the first part of a road trip? It's just infused with this incredible potential until maybe you run into a wall of traffic, or you blow a tire, or you find out that you've gone 2 hours in the wrong direction off a wrong turn you didn't even know you made.
Now, presumably, after a series of wrong turns, he's ended up here in our studio. Wes Hazard, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
So, what is scarier? My attitude is there's nothing more petrifying than being a stand-up comedian, but what's scarier, being a stand-up comedian or being on Jeopardy?
Absolutely stand-up.
It is?
Absolutely.
You weren't terrified?
With Jeopardy, you know exactly what to do. Just answer the question, and maybe you won't know it, but just go on to the
And
next
you
one.
were as calm then as you seem to be now?
I'd like to think I was, yes.
Now, is it true? I couldn't tell if this was a made-up story or not. I read about you that when you're in 8th grade or 7th grade or something, you entered some contest in the hopes that you could win and meet Alex Trebek. Is that true?
Absolutely true. It was the National Geography Bee. So I participated in 8th grade in our social studies class, and if you won that in our school, you got to go on to districts, and if you won that, you had the chance to go meet Alex Trebek, who hosted the National Geography Bee.
But it didn't work out.
I lost in a tiebreaker to my best friend, and I spent 20 years trying to rectify that
and
mistake.
You did it.
I feel I did. Yeah.
Now, you did this all in one day. 3 wins and then ultimately lost, what, back in March or something?
Back in March, early March.
And part of the contract is, until it airs, which it just did, if you tell the public what happened, what happens to you?
I didn't really want to ask. I imagine it involved large men showing up at your door, but I was able to keep it a lid on it and work out.
They didn't say you forfeit all your money or anything like that?
Really, when Alex Trebek tells you something, you just
do it. How
Yeah.
much money did you win?
About $53,000.
What are you doing with it?
I'm just nothing crazy. Do a little traveling, take care of some debt, and just have some fun.
Now, I'm assuming that you have sort of withdrawal pains to a degree, and so what we decided to do, in your honor, was do a Jeopardy like that. It's not exactly the way Jeopardy works, so we're going to do a couple of questions, okay?
Absolutely.
Here on Greater Boston, it's all about second chances, and we know you and everybody else got the final question wrong on the first night, so we're going to give you another chance. Ready for this?
Okay.
Thank you, fine. Of the presidents who served more than 4 years but less than 2 full terms, he served the longest. Who would that be?
Harry S. Truman.
Boom, ding, 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 ding. How about it? Oh. Not quite as smooth as it is on Jeopardy. Now, even though you got that wrong and you won, how'd you do that?
I followed the 2/3 rule. So
which is?
Essentially, if you go into Final Jeopardy and you are not leading, if the leader bets rationally, which is to say double the second place's person plus $1, then you cannot win. So your only option is for them to get it wrong. So the rule of thumb is that if you have at least 2/3 of their money, you bet little to nothing and hope that they get it wrong. And
are you like a card counter too, or what are you? I mean, this is unbelievable. It's a little scientific.
I spent 5 months. Well, I watched a show for 20 years, and then I spent 5 months of very intensive prep getting ready for it.
Okay, ready for the next question?
Sure.
Sure, why not? Would you rather attend a funeral while high on laughing gas or go to your own wedding doped up on horse tranquilizers? What's the answer?
I wrote that question,
Yes.
and I would have to say wedding on that one.
Okay, and by the way, it's in the book, is it not?
Correct. This is my book, Questions for Terrible People. 250 questions, that show you what kind of bad person you are.
Do we know how to pitch things, or do we know how to pitch things? Thank you. You may put that down now. Here's your final question. Oh, by the way, it's supposed to go. Whatever. A little late, I know. Chucky, the evil children's doll, first appeared in this 1988 film. What would that be, please?
That would be, what is child's play?
Exactly. Hold it. Now, why did I even bring up that question there, Wes? Why did I bring that up?
One of the most formative memories of my childhood. I had an experience with The doll, My Buddy. So there was a very popular children's doll in the early 80s, My Buddy, parallel to Kid Sister. Very shortly after that, a few years later, they created a horror movie, which a doll dressed almost identically to My Buddy was imbued with the spirit of a serial killer and then spent 87 minutes trying to kill an 8-year-old boy. I don't know why they did that. I don't know why I saw it when I was 5 years old, but it scarred me for life.
And by the way, what you're supposed to say, because you're supposed to do self-promotion, and I told that story, Jim, you probably know,
Correct.
on...
Stories from the Stage.
What is Stories from the Stage for the people who haven't seen it, please?
Stories from the Stage is just a great, true, heartfelt storytelling program where we get people from all over the country to come in and share their tales, true personal stories, no notes, told live on a specific theme. And we're on World Channel, Mondays at 9:30 and WGBH2 on 5:30 on
What's
Mondays.
the key to the art of good storytelling? It seems to me no matter what your technique is, and I've watched it a lot on your show, there has to be a common thread or two that goes through all the best storytelling. Is there? Is there?
I think the most essential element is finding the universal. So we talk to people who have had singular life experiences that only they and they alone have lived and felt. But what makes a successful story in my eyes is you find that thread where other people might not have had those circumstances, but they felt that exact same thing. It was as urgent to them. And when you find that path and walk down that within the road of the story, it's magic.
That's key to comedy, though, too. Is it not finding that amidst the absurdity,
Sure.
trying to find, I mean, you're the stand-up comedian, not
I
me.
think, I mean, for me, the best comedy, yes. I mean, comedy has the other task where you must also make people laugh, which is, a freedom that storytelling sort of, lets you escape. You can make people laugh, but you can make them cry, make them reminisce, that sort of thing. So I appreciate both of those arts.
I don't know you except to watch you and now meet you today. You seem painfully well-adjusted. But having said that, do you ever say to yourself since March when you tape these things, this is the highlight of my life? I've been on Jeopardy. I waited 20 years to meet Alex Trebek. I won 3 times, won 50 grand or whatever. Do you say to yourself, I don't know how I top this thing?
It certainly crossed my mind, and after taping, there was definitely an emotional crash, I will say. I talked about it on stage quite extensively, and more than one woman came up to me after I was telling them how I was feeling, and they just said, you just described postpartum depression. So, I'll take their word for it, but it was an adjustment.
Now, I will never get to shake Alex Trebek's hand, so can I shake the hand which shook Alex Trebek's hand?
Certainly may.
Wes Hazard, congratulations.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Appreciate it. You can watch him on Stories from the Stage right here on WGBH2, Saturdays at 11:30 p.m. and Sundays at 5:30.